And now it's time for the next presentation. And this is Hajj and Kaaba. Two professors studied this. The first one is from Ege University, Associate Professor Tahsin Koçyiğit, and the other one is his doctoral student, Nilgün Çevik. And so I'm giving the floor to the scholars here. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sayın Başkan, muhterem hocalarım,
esteemed chair, esteemed professors, dear guests, and esteemed audience, before I start my presentation, I would like to respectfully welcome you all. International Hajj Symposium, I hope that it will bring good deeds to our world. I would like to thank the organizing committee for their efforts. Indeed, an important subject like Hajj is now being put on the agenda. However, Mustafa Demirci, professor, we had a dialogue with him, and we felt the need that this important matter of Hajj could not be covered with one or two symposiums. The issue, the subject, has psychological, sociological, theological, legal, economical, international relations aspect. And with these other disciplines, we should take this matter into consideration in a holistic manner. And on this occasion, we are hoping that this proposal will go to the officials with the permission of our esteemed Professor Mustafa. This paper, together with my student Nilgün Çevik, we are working on it on history of Kaaba. We have chosen this paper, but as far as I could follow this symposium, we have chosen one of the most specific subjects. In the symposium, we have a very limited time, 15 minutes. Hopefully, we will suffice, and we will at least give you the summary of the summary. Hopefully. It will not be in the format of a formal presentation like the others, unfortunately, because what is holy for our holy assets, with our readings of today, there are two different approaches and two different discourses. And two problematics will be this. During Umayyad times, Kaaba was invaded 2 times and then it was renovated, and Hajj during Abdülhamid bin Marwan, whether it was taken back or not. Of course, the historical background, preservation of Kaaba and the invasion of Kaaba, I will not go into the details of this, but we need to state that by the end of his life, Muaviye, as you know, the conditions, the change in caliphate, he maybe had foreseen the problems come. Change in the state presidency, which is unlikely of Arabs. They have changed the state system. Of course, there are other historical backgrounds and reasons for that as well.
Ve buna yönelik adımlar
And
atmaya başlıyor.
steps towards that are being
Medeniyet
taken.
coğrafyasında
Emevites,
bir itiraz
in general,
söz konusu değil.
there is no big aspiration,
Kuvvetli ve en şiddetli
but the most strongest
Hicaz'dan
opposition was coming from Hejaz,
biliyoruz.
as we know.
Dolayısıyla
Therefore,
önce Medine hac vesilesiyle
Bin Süfyan and Muavin go to Medina first for Hajj and then to Mecca,
potansiyel
and
halife adaylarından
potential caliphate candidates, among them Hazreti Prophet Hussein and Ali, they had an interview with them and they tried to convince them, but they could not succeed. In the end, Recep Hicri 60'lar, Muaviye, when he passes away, Emevites powers are now dominated by Yezid, his son. And in other regions, the opposition movements are partially prevented, and as always, with great patience, as his single rival, and during the most problematic time, Umayyad-Zübeyri, they are sending an army to him so that his wish of getting into power or his rebellion is now prevented. Of course, by the way, Hussein and Abdullah ibn Hüseyin, Muaviye's arrival was heard and they escaped to Mecca, and after a while an invitation letter from Kufa arrives to Hussein, and he continues to struggle. Then Abdülüzzeyir, on the other hand, transfers his struggle from Mecca, continues to struggle from Mecca. So convincing activities become unsuccessful. Different governors or messengers are sent to Abdülüzzeyir. More strict measures are taken after Karbala disaster. Yezid takes more strict measures. Hüseyin bin Nubeyri is assigned as the commander. As you know, Abdülüzzeyir, with the strong soldiers against Emevite army, he doesn't have any soldiers or military power to fight his enemy, and we understand that he is courageous, but he doesn't have the tools. So therefore, Mescid-i Haram, he is taking shelter in Mescid-i Haram, and he is struggling for his life in terms of defending himself. So Kabe for 60 to 64 days is the stones of Kabe, with walls of Kabe, it's being hit by stones, and Kabe walls are being destroyed, and of course the seasonal conditions are quite heavy. There has been a storm for 20 days and lightning, and this storm and lightning pursues. With the more accepted revelations, Abdülüzzeyir's a soldier named Muslim, while he's carrying fire from one tent to another, the clothing of Kabe catches fire, and the clothing catches fire, and one by one, the stones start falling from Kaaba. So Kabe becomes completely collapsed
64 gün,
almost.
60-64 gün
6 to
veya fazla
64
devam
days,
ediyor ve
more than 2
Yezid'de
months, this
Yezid'in
continues,
ölüm
and in the
haberi
end,
Mekke'ye ulaşıyor.
Yazid's
Musab
death
ise
news arrives to Mecca,
şeyi
and Zubeiris
mancınıkla Abdülhamid-Zübeyir'i tehdit edip bu kuşatmayı kaldırıyor.
and
Ve
they
neticede
abolish this
tabii ki
invasion. And in the end,
Suriye ordusunun çekilmesinden
after the
sonra
withdrawal of Syrian
Kabe'nin
army,
tamiri meselesi bunu da çok
the
özellikle
renovation of Kabe,
belirttim.
I will talk briefly about this.
Burada az önce Hüseyin Bey'in de ifade ettiği
And as
gibi
Mr. Hussein mentioned,
Hazreti Peygamber'in Hazreti Ayşe'ye tavsif ettiği
prophets
dileğin
allocated a wish to Aisha.
işte Hazreti İbrahim'in dönemindeki
So during
onun temelleri üzerine
Abraham's period, the origins
açma gibi
should be preserved,
görüşe
dating back
dayanarak
from Abraham, opening 2 doors. So the renovation of Kabe is intended, and Abdülhamid-Zübeyri, Abdülhamid Abbas, I'm sorry, draws the attention of Zubairi, do not do something to offend people, he says. Of course, as a result of his consultations, Kaaba, during Abraham's period, including Hihatmi, in a way to include Hihatmi, is being reconstructed, and the height of the building is short, and it is now therefore increased, and another door is opened next to the current door, and when the construction is completed, in summary, but it doesn't take long. In the end, Emevites, Abdülhamid-Zubairi threat, in order to eradicate this threat, their intentions continue after Yazid. Finally, Abdülmelik bin Mervan, Mervan bin Hakem's son, becomes caliphate. And of course, the domination of the territory after Syrian territories in Palestine and Egypt, and then to Khorasan region, the territory domination is expanded, and together with his brother, in the name of his brother, Umayyad-Zubairi, then Abdülhamid-Zubairi threat is ended. Hajjat Yusuf Es-Sakafi is assigned on duty. During Hajj season, Hajjaj comes to Mecca. Abdülhamid-Zubairi and his followers, in the meanwhile, took shelter in Kaaba. They are fighting, defending themselves. Approximately 7 months, this invasion continues, this siege continues. As far as we can understand, Abdülhamid bin Ömer intervenes, and for a while, for the performance of Hajj duty, the attacks are ceased. There was an interval, and in the end, Abdullah bin Zubairi passes away, and Hejaz region, with Hare incident, Medina, and with the passing away of Abdullah bin Zubairi, Hejaz region becomes the territory of Emevites. Of course, Hajjaj, Abdullah bin Zubairi, added certain features to Kaaba during his renovations, and ignorance periods and prophets periods were being brought by leaving certain parts behind, and the door is closed, which was opened during the renovation, and Metaf area and Harem-i Sharif expansion activities are preserved. So, what draws my attention is during the repair of Kaaba, which is a sensitive issue.
Taşlanır mı falan diye yani dışarıdan
So,
duysa,
an outsider, when we say Kaaba was stoned,
çok garip karşılar.
that would be really weird. And for us, when we talk about it, when we study on it, indeed, it is quite moving and touching, but these are a part of our history. In the other periods, this also becomes in question, the collapse of Kaaba, the renovation. There are two anecdotes here that I would like to share with you. One of them, Harun Reşit or his father Mehdi, or during Mansur Abbasid period, the renovation, repair of Kaaba, his destruction, and then eradication of Kaaba based on the origins of Abraham. Harun Reşit, according to sources, Imam Malik and Imam Shahi is being consulted, of course, if the revelations are correct. Imam Malik answers, his opinion is important for us. He says, in no way, under no circumstances, he is also begging in a begging manner, never ever Kaaba should become a toy for kings, sultans, because they are no one, and no one can destroy Kaaba and reconstruct it again and take away the power of Kaaba from people's heart, because Kaaba, he's underlying the holiness of Kaaba. Sorry, we are over our time. Could you please swiftly wrap up? As my subject is a bit detailed, I'm aware that I'm over my time. Maybe if you can wrap it up within 1 or 2 minutes. Imam Shafi has another opinion. And he says that while destroying and reconstructing Kaaba, when it is your intention, you should not let people lose their respect for Kaaba. So, second of all, Abdullah bin Marwan period. The second issue, the second problematic is Abdülmelik. During the period of Abdülmelik Ervan, in Hajj wants to be moved from Mecca to Jerusalem, which is a problem on its own. But as a result, we can say that according to first sources, what are the first sources? When we investigate on that, we first see that Yakubi has a famous history book, and an Egyptian clergy, officius, is touching upon this issue. If I am to tell this to you, this is a subject which is not analyzed much, actually, which is not paid attention to, and which is also a bit manipulated. And they were using classical manuscripts for that. This is my idea. By using these revelations, there are some allegations on Zühri, and the best answer to that, Mehmet Salih Hatimoğlu has a book translated into Turkish, and art historian Oleg Grevar has an answer to them. But in conclusion, when these are published, we can see that. But even though I cannot touch upon this issue a lot, in conclusion, I can say that, of course, Kaaba, Mecca, related to Hajj, and based on Quran and Sunnah, its obligation, its holiness, there is no doubt about it. However,
maksadının dışında
apart from the
siyasi
purpose,
emellere alet edilmesi tabii ki
them being
yanlış.
tools for political maneuvers is
Şu kanaat
of course wrong, but also my opinion is that there are two sides to a wrongdoing. Amavite powers and
düşmanın saldırılarının hedefi haline getirmek
making those areas a target for an enemy attack, it's not correct. The holiness, dignity of Kaaba should not be destroyed. Any kind of renovation, destruction, refurbishment, under the name of these terms should be avoided. Any kind of activity should be avoided who will going to harm the respect of Kaaba. Of course, I cannot comment on the political environment right now, but in terms of our history, as these events took place for real, they should be touched upon. And with a couple of sentences, I would like to wrap up. There is an allegation by someone, and of course, these words become a part of literature, and it becomes a revelation, like coronavirus. It becomes the whole literature. We don't know if it's true or not, but needs to be paid attention to that. This kind of critical issues. Yes, Hajj, during the period of Abdülmelik Mervan, for some threats, it's being transferred from Mecca to Jerusalem, was investigated in a haste by Turkish scholars, and there was not much due diligence showed. And of course, it is a part of the literature, and in that respect, we need to create our own literature. And I'm sorry that it's a really summary of the summary, and also my apologies for keeping you delayed in terms of the timing. Please accept my kindest regards and warm thanks. We would like to thank Associate Dr. Tahsin Koç.